This is my to-do list. 6 real things I had to get done today. I handed the whole thing over to 4 AI agents, walked away from my computer, and every single one came back finished in 12 minutes. Actually, it was less, for about $1. Then I went and checked the numbers everybody else skipped. That's where it gets interesting. Real quick, if you're new here, I'm Drew. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an AI researcher, just a guy and AI, learning what to do so you don't have to. I test every model the day it drops. I run it on my own real work, and I tell you what actually held up and what fell apart. If you're figuring this out too, that's exactly who I make this for. Let's get into it. So last week, OpenAI shipped GPT-5.6. Every channel covered it. Almost nobody covered the part that actually changes your day. It's this: one to-do list, one prompt, and it fans out into 4 separate agents. Research, strategy, content, analytics, all 4 running at the same time, not one after another. Then they collapse back into one finished out point. That's the whole unlock. That's what's new. This is my actual to-do list for this channel. 6 things I normally grind through every day. Paste this in right here. So 1 is find out who else covered GPT 5.6 and what angle they took. Number 2 is I'm going to analyze the view counts on every one of those videos. And 3, build my 30-day content calendar. 4, outline my AI talk deck. 5, write 5 social posts for this video. 6, write the YouTube description and 3 titles. I'm handed the whole thing over to it and telling it, split it up and do it. So let's watch. All right, here it is. There we go. 4 agents, each one grabbing different tasks at the same time. This is something that you used to have to wire together yourself. Now it's just in a box right here, right in front of us. All right, so what it's going to end up doing is going to spawn 3 sub-agents, and then with the primary agents, it's 4 total. Now, this takes about 12 minutes to run. Okay, now granted, that is on Ultra. Okay, that is on 5.6 Ultra Soul. Right, you'll see here. I do not have it on the lightning speed, which is 1.5 times. Right, that is a capability of going just that little bit further. It does, take up your usage. So especially if you're on the $20 plan, just be careful on it. So I'm not going to sit here and watch the progress bar with you. Let's just let it work. And while it works, let me show you the thing nobody else showed you this week. Everybody is running OpenAI's headline numbers. On the test called Agent's Last Exam, GPT 5.6 scored 53.6 and beat Claude by 13 points. And that's real. The number is true. But look who ran the test. OpenAI. That's OpenAI grading OpenAI's own homework. So here's the independent scoreboard. Artificial analysis. Nobody pays them, but they ran a test with ChatGPT 5.6, which scored 59, where Claude scored 60. So obviously GPT 5.6 loses just by a point. Now, real software engineer work, SWE-Bench Pro. And here's the thing nobody's saying. OpenAI never published a sole score, not one. Claude is 80.3 public this whole time, the most job-like test we've got, and the challenger just didn't show up. So what you're asking, I don't know if you're asking maybe, is this new model a flop? No, not at all. Because look at the price. GPT 5.6 costs about 1/3 of what Claude costs. Roughly $1 a task versus 3. So here's my honest headline. It didn't take the crown. It lost the crown by 1 point, but it does charge 1/3 of the price. So it's not the genius, it's the workhorse. And when you're handing off a to-do list, which is exactly what it's doing for me right now. Behind this, the workhorse is the one you want. Okay, so let's pause it right here and screenshot this. That's the whole argument in one picture. That 1 point loss is the whole story, and it's the row nobody else put on the screen this week. Real quick, if you're finding this helpful or interesting, please smash that like button and subscribe. I run independent numbers on every model that drops, not the lab's own scorecard. 3 real catches. The first one is ugly. So, 1, a lab called Meter measured this model's reward hacking rate. Okay, so how often it tries to cheat its way to a good score. So as the highest of any public model they have ever tested, ever. That's not nothing. 2, OpenAI's own system card admits it can be overly persistent. It takes action beyond what you actually ask for. It oversteps. And then 3, it is not a hands-off model. Okay, you still check your work. You treat it like a junior employee, not a foreman. So, which one do you actually run? Right. So there's 3 choices. There's Sol, which is the flagship product. Okay, that's the one that we're running right now. So that's the flagship product. $5 in, $30 out. If you're running agents on real work like I am right now, this one earns it. Okay. And the second one is Terra. It's the middle one. It's $2.50 in, $15 out. Right? So for normal chatting and writing, don't overpay. This matches actually last year's flagship product at half the price. Right? And last one is Luna. That's the cheap one. $1 in, $6 out. It's really meant for the grunt work. And one honest warning, that parallel agent mode burns your usage at about 4 times faster, because obviously you're running 4 agents. On the $20 plan, you will hit the wall pretty fast. So I want you guys to be aware of that. But the mental shift matters more than any tier, right? Stop asking AI questions. Start handing it the whole tasks, right? I want you guys to start handing it whole tasks. You think of yourself more as a manager delegating to a team now, not just a person typing a prompt. All right. So we're just checking in on our progress here. So I want you guys to look at the screen and realize the length of time that it's taking to accomplish the goal. My honest feedback is that I'm not a big fan that it can be only broken up into 4 separate agents. See, because I mainly operate in Claude code, and I've definitely had tasks that I've broken up to 13 or more different sub-agents at one time. So imagine having workers for you that are working on a project. If you had 13 people or more versus only 4, who do you think could get the job done faster? Now, something that I do want to point out is that I do have chat's codex piped into my Claude code. I use it all the time. All the time in my bigger projects. And when it comes to creating images, for example, chat still takes the prize when it comes to their image creation. All right, guys, it looks like things came back here. All right. Okay, so let's see the exact time that it took. So it actually did a little bit better. It looked to be 8 minutes, right? So what we see here, okay, cool. So this is 15 different people that they reviewed, 15 different creators, right? You can see here some people like Fireship, definitely a couple of people that I for sure follow and turn to. All right, so you see here 721,000, okay, 364 on OpenAI's actual channel. So definitely when it comes to the research, the research agent, I definitely think it did a great job on that. All right, so let's move over to the analytics side. Okay, so 14 videos, combined runtime of 304 minutes, which is a cool thing to think of, guys. For in 8 minutes, it was able to evaluate 304 minutes of runtime. Okay, so this is stuff, guys, that I would be doing. I do all the time, right? I go through, and I would have had, if I were to be doing it in chat, I'd have to be doing this kind of one at a time. Right, so then, like I was telling you guys earlier, is that it only does 4 agents, right? So I'm not as big of a fan on that part, but let's get back to looking at this here. Okay, so definitely like the positives on the analytics agent. Definitely feel like it went through and did a full search through it. It talks about the difference of the 5-minute run times versus 13 to 20 and 25 to 49. Those are some long videos, right? But it shows you, the total views per. All right, so looking at our 3 and 4. Okay, so these are the ones where this is the stuff that it's going to be not as good as the first 2 agents, because these agents had 2 tasks to run, right? So this one had 30-day calendar, right? Specific weekly targets, and then talk outline for 6-slide AI agent talks. Okay, right. So this one had to not only create our 30-day calendar, but it also had to go through and create AI agent talk slides. Okay, so first one being, an agent is a digital worker with a job card. Okay. Start where the work is frequent and risk is low. Right, so guys, I'm just seeing this the first time, just like you guys are. Let's give it a 5-part job card. Role, who is the agent, outcome, what must it produce. Well, it's not bad, right? It's not something that I'm too overly impressed with, especially when it comes to the posts, right? You see here when it comes to agent 5 and 6. This, to me, if you guys have ever heard of AI slop, this is definitely feels more than of the AI slop, especially more than the ones that the AI sub agents that only had one to actually do. So let's look at this too. What was my usage on this task? So, all right, so activity immediately. I'm checking whether this workspace also exposes a token or credit meter. All right, since the number is separate from the visible for agent run. Yeah, like I said to you guys earlier, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's definitely one that I like. In Claude, it'll sit there, and like I said, I'm a big Claude Code fan. It will sit there and actually have the usage per agent, right? It doesn't matter how many. If you sit there and use 1 million tokens per agent, it'll show you. All right, so what I can't, okay, see, so it won't show you right away. What I can confirm: 4 agents total, 3 sub-agents, 1 managing agent, 6 tasks complete, 2 web research lanes, no files generated, no plugins installed. Okay. All right, well, that was definitely interesting. So, but what I can tell you guys is that definitely when it comes to the 2 models, if we're comparing Claude to chat, it tends to be 1/3 of the price, is what the benchmarks have been saying so far. Okay, so I'll give you the exact setup. 2 things free. The multi-agent prompt I used to split this one up. So yeah, guys, so hopefully this was helpful, that you guys can see exactly what went on. And this is, like I said, this is a real life work example. Not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna be continuing to work the way that I have been of utilizing Claude Code and keeping it to be where it pipes over into codecs for more for images, and I'll keep with Claude Code for now. So, but I hope this was helpful, guys. I want to just offer that I'll give you the exact setup. 2 things free. The multi-agent prompt I use to split one to-do list across the 4 agents, and a 1-page cheat sheet so you don't overpay for the wrong tier. So if you want to go on, and this would help me a lot, go on to my Instagram @DrewJohnson and comment the word workhorse on the corresponding video. I'll be having a video on this one as well. It'll DM you both instantly. Takes 10 seconds. There's no email wall. I'm not going to be making a trade for an email for a prompt. Just workhorse, because that's what the model is, right? So do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button if you want more AI that actually is doing the work instead of just talking about it. If you want my prompt, go follow me